She entered the stage walking quickly, somewhere between nervous and anxious. She was clad in a beige dress without design, without ostentation, without glamour, without eccentricities. No one really paid her much attention. Susan Boyle seemed older than her 47 years. She had unkempt hair, bushy eyebrows, and a sturdy figure that made her look more like a neighbor from any United Kingdom town than the glamorous music stars or those plastic artists. Her image did not betray the voice that was hidden inside her. A jury member asked her what her dream was, and she replied, "I want to become a professional singer." She said it kindly but confidently, shaking her hip. The audience began to laugh. There were some whistles and more laughter. They were having fun with that quirky character that Susan was portraying on that colorful Britain's Got Talent stage. The woman wasn't taken very seriously, but everything changed in a matter of seconds. As soon as she opened her mouth over the microphone and started to sing, "I Dreamed a Dream," this one from the musical Les Miserables, the people who were laughing at her suddenly fell silent. The audience's skin prickled, and then an endless ovation began as she sang like the very angels. The judges, among them the feared Simon Cowell, realized that there was a strange diamond in the rough on the stage. It was a diamond in the rough. That humble woman with a stirring voice made it to the final and took second place in the British competition. In just 10 days, Susan's performance, uploaded to YouTube, garnered 100 million views. And that same year, she sold 10 million copies of her first album worldwide, making it the best-selling album of 2009. The rough diamond shone, but as perfection does not exist, it did not shine in all its facets, and this is the story I am going to tell you today. In today's video, I am going to tell you the story of Susan Boyle, the woman who moved the world with her voice, but ended up in a psychiatric hospital with 35 million euros in the bank. Born in Black. Sometimes, Susan felt it was pointless to keep dreaming, so she kept stumbling along the path of music as best she could. In '97, her dad died at the age of 83. Her mom passed away 10 years later in 2007 at the age of 91. They passed away without knowing the glorious side of their daughter's story or the financial stability she would come to have. After her mother's death, Susan felt helpless. As an unemployed social worker, she spent her free time volunteering at a church in the city where she was born. Her great company, in that house she had shared with her parents and that Social Security had granted them, was her beloved cat Pebbles. She never married and would say years later to Lady Magazine if she had had a man, it would have been just something platonic. "I've been alone for too long to get married." In another interview, the woman visited her birth city's church. Her respected company in the home she once shared with her parents recognized her as an innocent, untouched flower who had never been kissed. Reaching the final of the British contest was her big dream come true. There, she began to behave in a very strange way. The manager of the place called the police called the doctors called the psychiatric specialists, and they decided to admit her to a mental health center called D. A priori. In the same establishment, her great companion, her pet Pebbles, was also admitted with her. The specialists agreed in diagnosing that Susan was showing symptoms of exhaustion and extreme fatigue. Being famous was something for which the anonymous woman was in no way prepared, less so suffering from Asperger's, although no one had diagnosed it at that time. After a few days of rest, she was able to get out of her mess, her mental problem, and managed to recover to sing for President Barack Obama on July 4, 2009 in commemoration of the United States Independence Day. This was followed by a period of high social demand, hundreds of interview requests and performances before famous figures such as Queen Elizabeth and Pope Benedict XVI. When the money started pouring in, Susan plucked up the courage and bought a house for 450,000 euros. The change for her was not what she expected. Living in an ostentatiously large mansion was not her thing. So she ended up giving the mansion to a niece, and she bought one for 75,000 euros, the little house where she had spent her whole life. She wanted to reclaim her peaceful past, her smells, her corners, her memories. She went back there and settled in with Pebbles. Susan Boyle is one of those special people who have been through it all. School and social bullying, anguish, glory, wealth, deprivation, loneliness, darkness, and applause. Perhaps her Asperger's, diagnosed late as I already told you, and which caused her so much suffering, is what saved her from getting caught in the fame network. The lights could never dazzle her. She, a famous woman in the world, extremely rich, chose to continue living in the social housing that her deceased parents occupied, while saying, "Why wouldn't I live here? I feel like my mother is still around here, and there are such good memories here. I grew up with Elvis playing in my house because my father was a fan of his." Susan continues to sing at the local church and has helped her entire family, 8 siblings and 16 nephews and nieces, to become professionals. In a People magazine interview, she said, "I never wanted to be a diva. I live where I grew up. I don't need mansions, and I still like to take the bus or walk to the supermarket and choose what I'm going to have for dinner." She currently lives alone. Her Persian cat, Pebbles, hasn't been with her for a while. He died of old age. Why? The new kitten that Susan got to live with her ended up running away one night. Today, Susan owns a fortune that amounts to 35 million euros. She has released a total of 8 albums with which she sold more than 25 million copies worldwide. She received 2 Grammy nominations, and that first video on YouTube is about to break the record of 10 billion views. She had promised her sick mother in the last moments of her life that she would take care of Pebbles and do something with her wonderful voice.